It's been a hot topic all week, but when the Solomon Islands signed a security partnership with Beijing on Thursday, it effectively stationed Chinese battleships within 2,000 kilometres of the Queensland coast. Already this week, Chinese police are in Honiara training Solomon Islands police force officers. Didn't take too long, did it? And it's not as if Australia hadn't been warned. Solomon Islands opposition leader Matthew Wale says he spoke with Australian diplomatic authorities last year, warning then that the Solomon Islands Prime Minister, Manasseh Sogavare, was likely to agree for China to establish a military base there. The Australian government was either too slow to act or didn't believe what the opposition leader was saying. Either way, they've screwed this up. I've got Matthew Wale on a Zoom call live right now from the Solomon Islands. Matthew, Wale, thank you very much for your time. Take us back to 2021, can you? And your warning, I think it was to the Australian High Commissioner, wasn't it?
Correct, yes. In about August of 2021, I became aware of initial exploratory discussions that were happening, which has now led to what is transpired about as the security deal. I informed the Australian High Commissioner, as I have been quite concerned about it, and I felt that Australia ought to be concerned about it, and Australia was in a position to do something about it.
So you were telling the High Commissioner of a security agreement which may involve a security presence in the Solomon Islands. Were you as specific as that?
Yes, I was. At that stage, even at the exploratory discussion stage, stationing of military assets was already part of those discussions. So I raised this as a red flag, to use a terrible description.
You would have expected some kind of reaction from Australia. Were you called personally by, say, Peter Dutton or Maurice Payne, the relevant ministers?
No call whatsoever, and I didn't have any more discussion with no call from the High Commission either. So I left it at that.
That must have seemed strange to you. I know it's easy for us in hindsight to see how strange it was, but did the High Commissioner not believe you? Did he not pass on the information? What do you know of what he did with your warning?
Well, I have no idea. He took his notepad out. He was taking notes when I was talking to him about this, and I had assumed that he would, and I did ask him specifically to relay this to Canberra and to see what Canberra would do. But there was no further communication from him or from Canberra, so I assumed that they'd looked at it and discarded it as not important.
Oh, gee whiz. Why would your Prime Minister, Sogavare, ignore Australia's continual commitment to foreign aid? I think 2/3 of your foreign aid comes from Australia. Why would he ignore that to allow China this very special military presence in your country?
Well, to answer that, one would need to understand his character. This is a Prime Minister who ran as an independent in the last elections. He is Prime Minister thanks to funding from China. He's proposing to postpone elections without consulting the people. I think he's expecting a backlash from the public with regards to that proposal. And he didn't consult the public with regards to the switch of recognition to Beijing. And worse, of course, this so-called security pact, which really is a military pact between him personally and China, not between Solomon Islands and China, is to protect him against Solomon Islanders and the free expression of their political rights in elections.
Wow. So he's changed his position on Taiwan. He's got a Chinese presence militarily soon to be in Honiara, and he did not consult and did not allow this to be debated in the public forum.
That is correct. In fact, he made a statement in Parliament under Standing Order 24, which does not allow debate, just questions. He is claiming it's a national security matter and therefore the details cannot be made public, but far from it. This is a democracy. Nothing should be about this deal should be kept secret. There is nothing confidential about it. The public ought to know. But this is true to character, and I think he is banking on China doing his bidding for him.
Sogavare doesn't want a democracy, does he?
Not the way he's acting. He's a paranoid individual, and so this is consistent.
And what should Australia be doing now? It's all too little too late, isn't it?
Well, I hope it's not too late. Of course, this gives quite, an amount of leverage in Prime Minister Sogavare's hands against what Australia may or may not do. But I think Australia should stop propping him up with his with its aid funding in the Solomons. Australia ought to become smarter and more creative in the way that it delivers its aid program in the Solomons without propping this behaviour.
If you were to become Prime Minister, Matthew, would you remove the military presence of China from the Solomon Islands?
Absolutely, I would. I do not think Solomon Islands needs it. This is not a matter like trade. I mean, he said we need to diversify our security partnerships. This is not trade, so you diversify. We're a democracy. We're small, and our security needs are internal, are domestic. We don't have threats from Australia, New Zealand, or Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea. We don't have any external threats. There is no need for a defense pact. So, as I said, this really is a military deal between Sogavare and China, and a future government would be within its rights to review it.
An outstanding analysis. Thank you so much, Matthew Wale, for your time tonight.
Thank you.